Good evening. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming on a rainy day. Seems like LA is becoming rainier than the usual. It's my true pleasure and heartfelt. I've been doing a lot of introduction over the years, and there's some that are very personal. This is probably one of the most personal for me. Benedetta Tagliabue from Enrique Mirage's Benedetta Tagliabue studio is an extraordinary piece of my education as an architect, of my journey of it. I came across Enrique Mirage's in '91 in Rosario, Argentina. Rosario is the second city in Argentina, and it's very unusual that architects go first to Rosario than they go to Buenos Aires, but that was the case. And there are certain moments in your life that you remember, and I remember that day. That lecture blew my mind. That lecture was the moment that I knew that I wanted to stay in architecture, because I saw something that it was so unique, so inspirational, so different, so sophisticated at the same time, so everyday life. So the work of this studio over the years, Enrique and then Benedetta, when they created partnership, it has been for me always a north to follow. I saw when we posted on Instagram all these lectures, somebody says, "Oh, look like Hernán worked for them." Yeah, I did a short internship, and anybody who knows a little bit can see in any project I've ever done, if you look carefully, there is Mirage Tagliabues everywhere. I'm proud to say that I steal a lot from them. And I think that's how it should be. For those of you who have been my students, you hear me many times tell stories about my short period of time there, but it was probably the biggest, most aggressive form of education that you can have. I find their work to be magical in the true sense of it. So allow me to indulge myself in this, because I wanted Benedetta to come to lecture for the longest time. But also I think the extraordinary journey is a unique one, because when they start together, the work was already incredibly influential and important in Barcelona and Europe. Unfortunately, Enrique stopped walking this earth in 2001. And you can see the power of the genealogy of ideas. When architecture have the capacity to create a language, when the capacity to have a grammar, so the language keep evolving. And Benedetta, leading the studio by herself, did an extraordinary job, not only finishing the project they started together, but creating new projects. And the work keep evolving, and you can see that genealogy that comes from those DNA codes, but you can see that it's changing and evolving. And I don't know there are many cases in history that thing happens, that something that was born in a particular way is mutating to something else. So again, as I said, to me, this is a very special night in that sense. And I cannot, I don't want to make it too sophisticated in conceptions and so on. I really think it's one of the most remarkable bodies of architecture in the last 50 years. Recently, I was lucky enough to go to see the Parliament in Edinburgh. I know a lot of their buildings, I've been a lot of them, and I will say it's one of the most extraordinary pieces of architecture that exists out there that has been done, again, in the last 50 years. So I find their work incredibly unique, incredibly complex, and incredibly essentially architecture. So every time I think architecture, it's impossible for me to don't associate that with Enrique Mirage's and with Benedetta. So it is a true pleasure and a true moment of indulgency for myself to welcome Benedetta Tagliabue to SCI-Arc.
Thank you so much, Hernán. Fantastic words, incredible. Thank you for this invitation. And thank you, everybody, to be here. I will try to explain sometimes very fast, sometimes a little slower, but I prepared a lecture with more than 500 images, but never mind. I promise I will finish in 1 hour. And I start with this reminds of LA. We had 2 competitions in LA, and both of them we were shortlisted. We had fantastic hopes, but we didn't win any one of them. And the first one was in 2001. It was one of the first time we started a competition without Enrique Miralles. As Hernán said, Enrique left this world in year 2000. And we were, the studio, we were very strong. We remained very much together in order to go on and to fulfill this legacy that he left us. And to receive a new competition in LA was like a miracle. I don't know how someone invited us to compete in a very complex competition for CalTrans' new headquarters in downtown Los Angeles. So we were traveling here, we were making beautiful documentation of our trips, we were thinking about the difficulty of making a building in a surrounding which is changing so much as in Los Angeles. This man here, I don't remember his name, but he was the one who recruited us. I really don't know how he decided to come with us to do a high-rise. And CalTrans, of course, is California transportation, and we were very, very seduced by this nodes and this fantastic highway crossing that, of course, is a symbol of LA. And with this material in mind, included this give them a break, California highway workers, things that we were finding. We were trying to imagine how a new high-rise dealing with CalTrans could be. So we were imagining, okay, fantastic nodes on top of our heads, but then also a fantastic vegetation and beautiful luxury, a lot of green. And this was the first desire for this building. And we were imagining this complex structure with a big heart in the middle, full with a fantastic vegetation. So these were our drawings. Also, we were imagining to give a piazza, a public space in front of the city hall and introducing to the building. So we were doing drawings like this one, where the piazza is the main thing, and also models like this, with little by little were leading us to imagine how these knots from the highways could be transformed into a building which could be cheap enough to be accepted by the developer, who was actually our leader, and could relate to the rest of the high rises and to this piece of downtown, and could be very, very extended on the plot, on the ground floor, and then becoming smaller and smaller, like a small tower, while going up in height. So this was our idea, and the piazza was a very important part. This cantilever arms were kind of letting the piazza underneath, and we were imagining a lot of things, and this beautiful texture for the facade, and well, at the end we had to do this model that I didn't like at all, but never mind. We presented it, and it was real, and we had a wonderful possibility. But then, as you know, Tom Main won the competition. And today I went to visit the Tom Main CalTrans. I think it's a beautiful building. It's I think with now 20 more years after, I think it's a good thing that Tom won that competition. It was very logical, also very good. And at that time, the developer, who is this man there, he arrived to the competition and he said, well, you listened to everything that we were trying to explain the project. Well, actually, the budget doesn't do. So, of course, we won. We didn't win, we lost. And anyway, this was a fantastic experience. And some years later, we were invited for a transformation of a military place in Orange County to become a new park, a fantastic possibility of a new natural place which could make the neighborhood rejoice of this beauty and also create a new life around that. So we were playing, I think, with Ellsworth, Kelly, with Tapies, who is more from Catalonia, from Barcelona, where we come from. And the idea was how to make this, to transform this a very rigid military runaway into a park, into a lake. How to make this become a natural line. No? So we were, it was a very playful type of competition where we were imagining a lot of things happening because this was absolutely enormous, very, very big. So the present is rigid, the future is kind of introducing this organic, natural shape. And we were doing this colorful sketches with then little by little were becoming the drawing. And we had this conversation, which was actually going very, very well. We arrived to the final jury after many conversations with the people. The jury even came to Barcelona, and we lost again. But never mind, this is things which are happening, and all you learn through these competitions are very important. I put this drawing because I noticed that structure is a little similar to the one you have in front of SCI-Arc, you know? It's a dream like that. And we produced these models as usual, and this was this experiments we had in LA. But usually, I think we start our understanding of the world and our projects by our home. Recently, I understood that our home and the experience of doing our home together with Rick Miralles in the 90s in an old building in the old city, which was abandoned and was used as a storage, this experience is absolutely present in many of the projects we are doing till now. No? I think this discovering how to work with a pre-existence, how to put in a value something which is derelicted, and how to rework it, and how to discover that this architecture is a fantastic architecture with a lot of secrets that you can discover, and try to live together with ancestors, let's say, with all these people who had been living there before us, and understand that we are only a little more trace in the many traces that happened actually here in the past during more than 800 years, or maybe more, because we are in the old city of Barcelona. So all this relation with the past and how to relate and how to feel this kind of humble feeling, I think was very, very important for everything we did afterwards. Eric was working from here, well, only during weekends, because during the weeks we were in the office. He was in this fantastic position where he could control all the windows, fantastic enfilade, and the house is revealing a kind of layers and layers, like a world behind it. So let's see. This is a little film. In spite of everybody, I was very attracted by these houses, which look so deteriorated from the outside, but with all these fantastic big spaces in the inside. I found a home where old memories are preserved and beautiful new stories are created. That's pretty simple. Okay, this is the moment of publicity. So Apple TV in the series Home, so there is this episode. But anyway, the home, it was nice. No, my children were very critic with me. They say, "What? You put our home in Apple TV?" And I said, "Yes." And my daughter, she, as you see, she was with me, very critic, saying, "I do it for you," but I wouldn't do it. My son refused it totally. But then when the thing came out, he said, "Oh, mommy, it's not bad. It's good." But I don't know. It's very difficult to deal with the private and how to expose of yourself to the private. But nevertheless, the experience in the house was so important for doing projects like, for example, the Santa Caterina market. And I always say this market, which was like that when we started living in the house, we did it with egoism. Where it's the most egoistic project we've ever done, because we really wanted all the surroundings, and the market was a very important key to transform the surroundings. We wanted them to become better because this is actually our home, is where we live. So when we started to conversate with the city, because they wanted to throw everything on the floor, we started to convince them that maybe the new buildings should be next to the old ones and learn from the old city, and also try to make the market expose what the beauty of the inside to the outside. And we were doing all of that because we really loved that piece of city. We really wanted that piece of city to become better, to be the extension of our home. And so we really, I think Santa Caterina was a project that we really loved, and where we worked with a lot of attention and presence, and also with this degree of experimentation, which maybe in another project more far away wouldn't have been possible. So we maintained part of the structures, but with new structure embedded. And for example, you see this roof, let's say the old parts of the roof are reused, but in a new structure. And the outside of the roof, we thought it would be fantastic, that could tell to the city from a distance what a beautiful world it's inside. Because in a market, when I went to Barcelona, I was impressed. No? The market is a fantastic place where you have this world of fresh fruit, fresh food, a culture of eating. And we thought that this beautiful culture could be visible, could be put onto the building itself. So I wrote in Italian, and I didn't have the time to translate, but it says an architecture which accepts. So probably from the house we learned that, no? How to accept parts of architecture that you work together. For example, here we had a very difficult work to do in the city hall of Utrecht. And we decided to make really a kind of a collage, accepting the existing, not only the beautiful part of the existing, but many parts of it. This is the setting of the city hall, and transform it little by little by changing, for example, this symmetry. The big door is not anymore the main one, is the small one becoming the main entry. And the new corridor on top is making the kind of indication of where to enter. And also when we worked in the Scottish Parliament, we had this idea of trying to make a less institutional architecture. At the beginning, I remember our friends from Scotland told us, "Oh, you have to participate to the Scottish Parliament competition." And Rick Miralles told me, "No, it's an institutional architecture. We don't like institutions." So we tried our best to do a Scottish Parliament which were kind of diluting in the landscape. We asked for a piece of landscape which was not actually belonging to the Parliament. It was belonging to the Queen, which is the neighbor in front. And this gesture of a kind of a amphitheater outside the parliament, which can accept, everybody can accept the people. This was the first real gesture that permitted us to do the rest of the institutional building on top. And also we maintained this old little house, Queensberry House, inside the complex, so that you have this feeling of ruins, which is something that the Scottish reinvented. No, they on the Carlton Hill they did this ruins of an old Greece that they never had, but it's beautiful. No, this ruins is also part of this fantasy of Scotland. No, with ghosts and romantic feelings and all these things. So we did this very complex building in the heart of the historical city in Edinburgh. And thank you very much, Hernán, for what you have said about the Scottish Parliament. It was by far the most difficult building we have gone through. Eric died in year 2000. Really, the building was not even started. We started the foundations. And since then, it was a political fight all the time. Very, very incredible. So this morning we were talking about it. It was so complicated that I totally forget about it. But if we had to remember it, wow, it would be a book about Scottish secret politics. But at the end, I think it was worthwhile. I always had in the heart the idea that the building itself, at the end, would survive all the difficulties, would survive all this politics, history, secret corruptions. And a building like this with wood kind of reminding a boat, because we had this idea that the parliament should be like a boat, you know, with no real place, but like something navigating in the sea, would be really something that you could use the first day, as this is the opening, but also would go on influencing people during more and more and more years. So this year we will celebrate the 20 years of the Scottish Parliament, and all the difficulties seems gone away in a way. They are all, everybody is happy to celebrate. And at the time of the opening, it was more complicated. But before we were talking with the Los Angeles Orange County Park, we were talking about creating an open space place. And in Hamburg, we had the possibility at the beginning of year 2000 to make a competition to transform a little bit of this harbor, which you see, it's enormous. It's the second biggest in Europe after Rotterdam, to transform it again into part of the city, which is very clear because this harbor is moved by computers, maybe two people moving computers, and big cargoes with containers are moved by cranes. And so these old parts are becoming kind of ridiculous respect to the rest of the enormous harbor. So it would be fantastic to return this to the city, return it to the people. And we did a competition on the public space, how to transform the public space of the Hamburg harbor in order to make it more permeable, to make people participating to more parts of it, to have floating piazzas in the sea, to have the bombing parts becoming beautiful natural places. And after more than 20 years, these projects are very, very slow. No, they go on in years. We are still working on that. You see the southern part, we are still finishing that. But you can see that the drawing became a reality. And in fact, the Hafencity is working and has this concept of entering again into the water And having this mix, which was happening during the harbor time, between where you can stand on your feet and where you cannot because there's water. And so this mix makes the harbor become more near to the scale of the people. And also we did a lot of things happening on the walls, decoration with bricks, which was actually something traditional here. The Speisestadt is very much about that. And this is also with the idea of entertaining people and making people feel that there's something to do, that these great distances are fulfilled with a lot of things happening and pavimentation changing and new lights and trees growing and stairs bringing you little by little near the water, even if the floods are very dangerous. But you can go near the water with special systems of telling you, alerting you when the water is coming up. So I remember people in Hamburg at the beginning when we won the competition telling us, "Oh, you're too Mediterranean. You think that in Hamburg we are like in Barcelona. Here is a very cold weather." But in fact, people is going now that it's built, and the possibility to have a park, to have a space like that, makes people use the space and get the habit of going out, even if the weather is not like Barcelona. So I appreciate very much these images where people is actually using very much this harbor and all the features, and this is becoming really a lively city. And in Italy now, we are doing something similar, but in a totally different place. This is Rimini, which is the most massive seaside place in Italy. It was the place where, in the fascist times, they were giving the idea that going to the seaside is healthy. Before, nobody was going to the seaside. But here they started, and they maintained this as a very massive activity. So they had a kind of a back street here where you see this natural place. And our project had to transform this back street in order to reconnect the city of Rimini with the seaside and make the seaside a little less massive, a little more transparent, so that you can start to see the sea again from the city. So this is happening right now. You see on the lower part, you see the street that we are transforming into a kind of a multi-purpose place where you have bicycles and people walking, but mainly you have this idea of the seaside as a natural place, as a place where you can find trees, you can find shadows, you can find also the herbs that have a beautiful smell, you can go making sports, and you have a connection with the city on the other side, which before was kind of really cut. Also, this is a first gesture for the city to change the buildings, which usually were kind of cutting the way towards the sea. And we are designing pieces, and we are trying to make our best to make each one of these 8 kilometers recognizable by different colors, different motifs, using this ceramic, which is a typical product of the place. So now we are going to China. Well, we started in Los Angeles, we went to Europe, and now we are in China. And China is a place which I love very much. You know, when I was 18, I don't tell you the year, but it was a lot of years ago, I was brought there by my uncle, who was making commerce, buying and selling small pieces, mechanical pieces. And I fall in love with China. And I think this idea, I want to go back there, this made me go back to China. And actually, we won a competition, which was a competition for the Spain pavilion in Expo Shanghai 2010. And we proposed for that competition a pavilion which would be done in a craftsmanship way. Because we were thinking that maybe we didn't have the same language, no, with China. Maybe at the beginning from Spain, we were kind of doubting how can we communicate. And we thought that hands can always communicate, is something that is really giving a universal language, a little like digital language, but the hands language is an ancient language which is absolutely the same everywhere in the world. It's a sort of a common intelligence humanity have. And so this idea of making a building which was covered with handmade panels made of rattan and wicker was the idea that we proposed for this pavilion. And actually this was done. The structure underneath was a very complex structure. We were proposing something very dynamic because it was representing Spain, no? A kind of a very dynamic nation. And in the outside, there was this idea about better cities, better life. This was the lemma. And we were thinking better cities is maybe the city which is able to bring the city next to the countryside. So we were proposing a way of building a future city with handcraft and with an attention to what happens in the countryside. And this was kind of introducing in the Expo Shanghai this feeling of a natural place, more natural place, where actually you could see the shadows very well, also the smell of the building, which was changing with the weather. You know, when it was raining, you could smell the panels very, very much, but it was a beautiful one because it was a very natural one. And this was really our entry into China. It was, I had no idea how it could be this building, but it was then the beginning of many other projects in China which are still going on. And recently we went back with Zoran, who is here, and other friends, and we went to see where the Spain pavilion was. There was no more pavilion. Nothing was remaining of that, but a new park which had a beautiful undulating lines. And I had the impression that these lines of the pavilions, these dynamic lines, were in a way kind of remaining in the park, which now is instead of the expo. So in China, we could have beautiful possibilities. I don't know, Rafael Moneo was always telling me, why are you working in China? Why don't you concentrate in Europe? I don't know. I think because it's a beautiful possibility. You know, in the year 2010, 2011, or during these years, we had this possibility to be in contact and to talk to each other. And for example, when we participated with this competition for a new university, business management university for Fudan, we were trying to explain in the competition that we wanted the university to be an occasion to introduce qualities in the city, and vice versa, not a closed campus, but a campus which would make the city better, would create piazzas, would create passages, would make the students go around and go in the city, and the city go in with shops and food courts. And these are actually 3 urban blocks, but they work as one, and they make the city go inside through the avenues, through the patios, courtyards, and the buildings are kind of connected by these bridges, which are connecting the rest of the different functions that you have inside the university. So the patios are covered by these roofs, which are creating a kind of a public space outside and inside the building. And as very often happens in projects in China, we were not able to be during construction. But the drawings that we gave them was, I think, was built quite literally. And now the building is done with these connections of the three buildings through the Great Bridge on top of the avenue, and the creation of the series of piazzas inside the blocks, which will probably give the possibility for the city to be enriched by the presence of this university building. So it's not only a university where people can study and learn, but also is an occasion for the city and citizens to get near to the learning and to these fantastic facilities that a university is giving. So still, this trip after the COVID in China was very impressive. And we didn't put in the project I Love Fudan, but they learned from this system of the louvers that we gave them. And they have this as a symbol, this bridge on top of the avenue as a symbol of Fudan. And also, we had a possibility in the center of Shanghai to make something similar to what we've been doing in Hamburg or in Rimini, to renaturalize a piece of Nanjing Road. In Nanjing Road, there is a place which is called Century Square, and they ask us to give ideas to make it better. In Century Square, usually they have events and they have a lot of activities going on. And we were proposing to cast in the city, in this piece of city, also the remind of the blue of nature. In a way, Shanghai is a city on the sea, on the water, but many times you don't notice that. And also plant a lot of trees and have this shape which is separating the traffic from the inner part of the piazza, so that inside the heart of Shanghai, you have a more naturalized place where a lot of people is passing by. This is Nanjing Road, so there is a lot of passage. But here is a sort of more relaxed place where some grades are separating from the traffic. And a little building, which is a reflective building, is kind of giving back all the lights of the surroundings, which is like Times Square in Shanghai. So we have these little hills with trees happening. These were the renders we were giving during the COVID time, where we were always on a video lecture talking to each other. And this is a view from the top some months ago. So you see the green grades on one side separating from the traffic, the building, and the piazza, which is a different color, kind of indicating more a special place to stop. And we were going to visit under construction. It's, of course, a lot of things that I would do different if it would be my decision about the last detail. Here I cannot decide. But we are very happy that we could collaborate with something that is like maybe I don't know, something that maybe we had in mind, they didn't have in mind, and it's a dialogue. So we make a lot of dialogues of this kind, because in China we make many competitions of this kind, like this one where they were asking us to put some facilities in a small island on the east of Shanghai. And it's very nice, no, to have these possibilities. And also in Taiwan, in Taichung, we had the possibility to make a high-rise building, which was, let's say, what we tried in Los Angeles, then we could do in Taiwan. And I like to start the idea how we started the high-rise. No, they came to us and say, we would like you to design a headquarter for this company called ChinaTrust. And we started with a game with the people of the office, and everyone was doing their own special high-rise, and then we put it together on the table of the office. And this was really entering into the final design. Then we were also looking at their philosophy. The central person is the head of ChinaTrust, and he was playing a lot because their lemma is "We are people," and this playing with people, we thought it was very, very beautiful. And this is a place where we had to insert our new headquarter, and we thought that it would be nice to have a good feng shui. And we were very impressed by, in Taiwan, more than in China, you have this talking about feng shui, especially the business people, because they have the idea that the building is very much influencing the activity that goes on inside. So if you make a bad building, a bad feng shui building, the activity of the company will go down. So we were trying our best also to respond to the feng shui. And the owner himself, he asked us to make a building which would look like a tree. And the name of his father, who was the founder of the company, apparently was Gu, which means pine tree, cypress. And we started with all these symbols, trying to make the building as natural as possible, introducing shapes, also games like the Bugatti or things like that, so that the building at the end is introducing this natural world by the terraces, by the curves, which are kind of diluting the strength of the angles of the rest of the building of the city. And the back of the building is like the spine, the important part where all the elevators are, and which are maintaining the strength of the building. So a kind of a softness in the front, and this stronger spine, stronger back, and in the inside of the block. So we had to see this building grow during the COVID time, and we could go there recently in the same trip where we were visiting the rest of the buildings, and we discovered that the piazza in front of the building is actually working very well. No? We designed the pavimentation, and the pavimentation is creating the border between the building and the street, creating a kind of a park, a small park. Then the facade is also working, making this organic feeling of the building, and the terraces where we were taking photos with the CEO, and the facade that we had been studying, with this micro points, which from the inside are black, from the outside are white, so that you don't have the vision impaired from the inside, but from the outside you have this more like milky feeling. So in the night, I was always afraid, to have this too strong image. But when I was there, it was really working there very, very, very well. No, it was very special, the effect in the night of the building. And they keep, as a reminder of the feng shui, this image of the soft chicken shapes, which were the one that we used for the feng shui. Well, now I think we have to go faster because I don't know the time, but I'm sure I'm going very, very slow. And stations we are doing. We are doing a subway station in the outskirts of Paris, in a very difficult place where there were rebellions in 2005 and where the station needs to bring this new connections with the city and with the other towns around. So we were called maybe 10 years ago to make this competition. And we inspired to the place. The place is a very special place with a lot of immigration, but in the same time very colorful with this fantastic market. And we tried our best to make a building which was responding to what already existed, to the colors of the market which was going on already there, and which was a little bit like an open space as much as possible. So very little building and a lot of open space. And the inside would be like a very light inside with a lot of stairs so people could meet. And this is what we are developing since long time ago. So the structure of the pergola was studied very much in order to be a continuous canopy. And we were trying our best to include these new materials, which were kind of textiles. And we worked also together with women of the place in order to have these workshops of deciding what color do you like, what material do you like, what is your favorite dress. And with that, we were doing this collage, and the collage were at the end used to make the coloring of the inside of the great hall, or also of the pergolas. And we took every occasion, like for example the Biennale in Venice, to experiment with this material and to try to see what it could be. You know, it could be, in this case, we wanted this to be in textile material. Then it was not possible. And now the art is getting introduced into this station. A good artist called GR was born here, and he will make a kind of a big, heroic ceramic mural in the few walls of the station, so that the city will be reflected in the mural, but also in the colors of the pergola. And now the big engineering things are happening with this fantastic big tunnel machines going on. And in the same time, in Naples, we have another station happening, which is in a very, very special place. It's in a very mineral place of the city of Naples. And so we tried our best to give a station which was very natural and was kind of making a contrast with downtown in Naples, which is like that, you see, no? It's a very tough place, which was never really accepted by the city of Naples. So we are now at this stage, and I was explaining, Hernán, that Naples is a very strange place where nobody knows if they will finish next month or in 10 years' time. For the moment is in 10 years' time. But they already have this structure in place. The trains are getting very near to be in function. So we hope that soon we will have the station functioning, and the image of that is really kind of making this natural shapes emerge from the from underneath the soil of the city of Naples. I'm sorry, I'm going very, very fast because this timing is 500 slides. Actually, it's too much. This is the art that we want to introduce. Nobody knows if it's going to happen because it's Naples. And this is another competition we just lost in Prague. It's a train station. I think it was very nice. It was the putting together of a park, the old station, which now is kind of unuseful, because it's totally cut out, and the new communist station, which is underneath on another level. Now it's like that. And I think we did this concept, which was working very well, no? Of a new roof, which created the connection with the park, with the space on top, with the old coverings of the rails. And it was, as usual, very beautiful to make a competition because it's a possibility to try your best and to be in contact also with other engineers. For example, we were in contact with fantastic wood engineers who were teaching us how the curve can be well calculated so that this works as a shell and you can have as less effort as possible, as less material as possible. And this big cover was really creating the connection between the old building, the new space on top, the park, and the existing secessionist building. So going fast, I go to the building we love more, because we finished this going very, very in detail. No, let's say in China, we never had the possibility to detail the project that we do. But here is Italy, is a fantastic city called Ferrara, which is very minor, but very beautiful. And we had to making of that, friends were telling me, oh, really, it's a little outside the center, so they think that this is the periphery, but you work from the center to here in 15 minutes. But it's a small city, so here it's nearly countryside. And they wanted a new church next to an existing one, with also the house of the priest and other facilities. And we were starting by saying, well, why instead of copying the typical churches from Ferrara, we just imagine that something is coming from the sky, you know, something new, something special, like a balloon. And with this idea, we started with a series of collage. We very often use collage. And the collage were becoming three-dimensional. And now, during construction, it was very beautiful to compare that this small collage and the reality were very similar. Actually, when we were looking at that, friends were telling me, oh, really, it's like instead of a church, it's a collision of an airplane. But the real thing is, at the end, very similar to that. It's responding to the first sketches and to the first ideas. And also this sketch of a kind of a round building with a kind of a line behind is so similar to what we built at the end. No, it's a church embedded with a house, embedded with the classrooms and with the place where the people of the surroundings will meet, and we could be on top of every detail, choosing the materials and spending time to think how the wooden roof that we were thinking could work. At the end, we had to choose a cement shell, but we needed the sound acoustic ceiling. So we introduced the ceiling with the acoustic reasons. And these are images of the process. The process was very nice. We had fantastic people like Enzo Cucchi, who is a very good artist, who was providing the art inside the church. And at the end, he decided that his art would be crosses, big crosses in stone, and his drawings would be casted into this strange ceramic pieces, which were kind of deforming on top of the crosses. So here is his son positioning the ceramic pieces. And we had fantastic trainers, let's say. We had a liturgist, who is someone who is telling the artist and the architect how to implement the ritual, the liturgy, through the physical things, you know, through the physical place, through the physical pieces of art. And here he is, this big man. He loves eating. You know, we are here in the center of the best Italian pasta, and he's a fantastic thinker. No, he's really a theologist, like San Tommaso d'Aquino. And I was always very, very impressed by his intelligence, and maybe his words were kind of really inspiring. No, so he was kind of looking how we would do the altar, and we were proposing him to do something like a trunk of an olive becoming an altar, or how we would do the seatings, and also we were insisting on this idea of making pieces of trunks becoming the elements, and then we tried to do that by in a kind of a cheap way. Of course, a church never have too much money, and we put together these different woods, and then we worked with them so that they could become the base for every different element that you have to introduce into a church. So the church now is existing. The acoustic roof became very important because it introduced this kind of warm feeling of wood inside the church. Then the rest is cement and stone for the pavimentation and for the altar. And the elements are these pieces of wood which create the base for an old Virgin, for an old ostensorio, all the pieces, and also a reliquario, you know, this kind of things that you need for the ritual in the church. And we could find, because we were really looking, some old beams inside the roof of the main building of the city, and so we could reuse them. It's a montage, but you don't notice. So a big cross is on top of the ceiling, so that it's really the cross which is making the main gesture of the space. And then Cucchi is repeating with many crosses, some of them like this one with little stars and planet around, done by ceramic pieces. And the piece of the altar is like that, and the elements and the art in the back, and the lamps also are all working together to try to create this space, this sacred space that our liturgist, our trainer, let's say, was asking us to do. And he was always saying, well, we never know if you can succeed in making a space which gives this feeling of being sacred. And maybe the best proof is when it will be built, to see if a boy playing with a ball accidentally pulls the ball inside the church. If he goes on playing, then the church doesn't work. If he stops and feel something like that, then it means the space is working and is giving this feeling that something special is happening, that this is a place with a certain sacred situation. And of course, what can you do? You can only try your best. And this is, I think, what we do. So let's say I should finish because I finished my time. But because we have many things, I will maybe show a little bit. We had exhibitions which were going on recently on Enric Miralles. You know, Enric for me was someone working next to me, so I couldn't separate from him. Our office is still called Miralles Tagliabue. But now we have a foundation called Enric Miralles Foundation. It's underneath the office, so it means we are very connected. But we started in 2021 to start to make a lot of exhibitions about him as a person, as a fantastic artist, as a creator. And we brought these exhibitions in many places. Bringing, for example, the furniture, as here in Milan, or making exhibitions in a special place in Barcelona about some of the projects, or making also exhibitions in another museum in Barcelona about the photomontage he was doing during all his life. We have more than 900 of them. And then also indicating that we are going on with that. We are going on with the spirit, and the office is still working, doing a lot of things. So I think now we have a lot of many images. I pass them like that. And so you see all of them, but you're very fast, no? You're a student of architecture. This is the best project, and I don't have the time to talk about it, but it's really influencing me, because it's one of the Maggie Center in outside UK, and the idea of this place is to make people who are receiving oncological cures inside the hospital escape the hospital and go in a place where they feel at home. And I think this is the most important lesson I learned recently, making places where you feel at home. So we started with home, and we finish with a home which serves people with oncological situation. And I understood with this building that what we try to do from now on, when we do a city, when we do a public building, a university, everything, is to make it feel like home. And I learned it from here, and I live the lesson here because it's too much. Thank you so much.